How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and I'm fletching up some arrows now. I'm just about done. I've got 3 left, and I did a video years ago on how to fletch arrows, but some of my techniques have changed, and I thought, why not do another video? Most commonly, you're going to see arrows these days with blazer vanes, which are the 2-inch little vanes like this. And as you can see, I'm fletching them up with about 4-inch vanes. My reason for doing that is I video my hunts, and what I found myself doing over the past years is spray painting the end of my arrow white to try to help it show up better on the video. And the spray paint itself adds weight, as does the wraps. Some people wrap the end of their shaft with a white wrap. And I thought, if I'm going to be adding extra weight on the back anyway, why not just give myself more steer ability with larger fletches? So that's the purpose here. But I want to talk about the difference in fletching this length of a fletch as opposed to something like a blazer vane. All right, I just want to show you the difference in weight between the blazer vanes and these vanes. So 3 blazer vanes are 16 grains, and 3 of the 4-inch vanes are 28 grains. And for a hunting arrow, I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. So that's another reason why I'm going with the 4-inch. So for a fletching jig I have here, it's just an old Jojan fletching jig. And I have a helical and as well as a straight fletch jig. And I found that with, carbon arrows, the diameter is so small that the helical curved does not really work. It's just, it doesn't fit onto them. This is an older version anyway. I don't know if they've made any changes. But I typically use a straight jig, and right here on the jig itself, you can offset this where the arrow rests just a little bit, so it gives a little tiny bit of a slant to the fletch, which causes the arrow to spin. So let me get started. First of all, I've already cleaned the end of my arrow shaft, and I want to talk about glues at the same time here. A couple of years ago, the first time I tried the newer style fletching glues, which set up within about 30 seconds as opposed to hours as the older glues used to do, and as the glues I used in the last video did. I got this stuff from Lancaster Archery, and the instructions for this stuff tell you to get 100% acetone. They tell you get 2 bottles of it. One, you soak the end of your arrow in, and then the other you use to treat the fletch right before you put the glue on. So I did all that. And what ended up happening was the acetone ruined the nocks. I followed the instructions. The nocks came already in the arrow. I didn't even think of it. So that was the first bad piece of information as far as in the instructions. Secondly, though, I tried this time. I went with gold tip. I'm sorry, my kids are right upstairs playing. I don't know if you can hear the banging. Gold tip, knock adhesive. And I currently like this stuff much better. The tip is better as far as the glue comes all the way out of the tip when you're done using it, and so it doesn't get dried out in the tip and make it difficult for you. The tip in this one I had all kinds of problems with. So anyway, if you're going to say what glue should I use, this gold tip stuff is working well for me. I know Easton probably makes their own as well. Now, I don't treat the fletch with the acetone like it recommended in this one, because I don't know that that's necessarily helpful. One thing I do recommend, though, is first of all, I take a paper towel and I do wipe down the shaft a little bit with the acetone just to clear off any of the carbon dirt, from when they're made in the factory and stuff. But I don't touch the fletch at all with my fingers where the glue is going to go. I handle the fletch on a spot that's not going to be getting any glue. I set it in the jig here, and then I open the jig a little bit and let it fall down in, and then I push it into the jig so that it's flush with this end. Now, the difference with this and a blazer vane, and I have a little blazer vane here, if I put this blazer vane in, and then I put that on the arrow, it actually can tip. I used to, before I realized what was going on, it would tip up because there's a gap in the back where that's hitting the arrow, but not in the front. So the back end would actually come off, and I wouldn't get good adhesion. And so what I started to do is I'd put my Fletch in the back that I'm going to glue, and I'd put another one in the front to help hold the front up so you get good adhesion. It's not as important now though, because this type of glue will set up in about 30 seconds. So what I actually do is, you have to squeeze it to get the glue down, is I put my dab of glue all the way down the Fletch, and I actually use a little bit more than you need, but I do it intentionally. And what I do is I take the tip of this and I almost scribble on it to make sure that the glue is touching every part of the Fletch, because if it's not, you could have the Fletch come off, and I've, or in that spot. So in the past I had areas where there wasn't glue all the way across on here, and that would end up coming up off the arrow at one point, and I would, it would be no good. So I put the back end in, not in contact with the arrow. I get the front end in the slot, and then I push it down uniformly, and I pinch down in the front and the back. And where see this hand back here, where I'm pinching with this hand is behind where the fletchings are going to be glued on. I don't want the oils from my finger to be coming in contact with the arrow anywhere where the Fletch is going to be glued. So I typically will just gently and firmly hold this to the arrow so I get a good seal for about 30 seconds, and then I'll take it off and rotate it to put the next Fletch on. And I won't shoot the arrow probably for at least a day. I mean, the glue, depending on the brand you have, it could be set up and ready to go in about an hour, but I still like to give it time. So take it off. Hear that? It's firm enough on there. Then you rotate it. Listen for the click. Hear that? And then you take your next Fletch. Again, you don't touch the part that's going to receive any glue. And I keep them in the package until I'm ready to use them. Also, I'll say this. Let me set that down so I don't get any debris on it. If you check your clamp, if you're getting any glue buildup, which I usually don't, but sometimes I get a little bit. Like there looks like a little bit of. I usually keep a razor blade nearby, and I just run the razor blade down to get any glue off. You don't want that getting in the way of your Fletch adhering. So I just slid it down in. Now I'll slide it up into place here, and that's going to be being flush with the end every single time is going to give you all of your Fletches uniformly in the same spot. All right, the glue's uniformly on there. Put it in the back, line it up in the front, gently hold it against there for about 30 seconds. And my shirt says Transform. That is last year all the churches in the local town, we got together and did some housing rehab projects for the less fortunate. It was a great thing, and it was great to come together with those people. So again, I'll let it on there for about 30 seconds with me holding firmly, just to make sure that Fletch really bonds to the surface, and then I'll take it off. Looking good. Now on these jigs, if you have one of these or you're just getting into it, there's one side for 3 Fletch and another side for 4 Fletch. Like if you take this little piece out and flip it around. So make sure you have it in the 3 Fletch setting before you start. Now this glue, again, you have to really squeeze it pretty hard to get it to come out. And when I'm finished going all the way down the Fletch, or fletching, whatever the correct terminology is, I'm no longer squeezing it, so it's not coming out, and then I'm just dabbing where there's any gaps where there's not glue coming in contact with the Fletch or fletching. Then I just, I dab it to make sure it gets coverage. Put it in the back, in the front, press down. And after I'm finished with this, I will just take my paper towel and gently wipe off any excess glue that has come out of the sides. Because I do get some with the amount of glue, but I'd rather have extra glue getting pushed out than not enough glue and having my Fletch come off easy. I'll just show you real quick while I'm letting that sit. This one I shot through the target and it got all mangled up, but I fletched these. I like all white, and then I put a little cross on them on mine because I love Jesus. I said that in another video. It just makes me think of him, and I'm grateful for all that he's done for me and all the blessings. So I'll probably do that with these. The arrows that I'm fletching up are actually the ones that were given to me by Jewelry Outdoors, because when they picked me to be on their new show that's going to come out next year, they sent me this and they sent me a new bow. If you haven't seen that, they gave me a PSC Evolve, which is what I'm going to be shooting these arrows off of, and I'm very excited about that. I haven't even got the bow tuned up yet. I'm going to hopefully do a tuning video on that as I tune it up, because I need to get that thing tuned up because season's going to be here soon. So I'll just take a little paper towel and I'll just gently run it down between the fletchings. So there you have it. I'll let that continue to dry for a little while, and most likely I'll draw my little cross on there, and that just denotes the odd fletch that would face up on my drop away rest. Another thing to note is one side of the nock usually has a little piece, a little tab that sticks out, and the reason for that is the purpose is so you can grab the arrow without looking at it, feel the tab, and face it away from your bow. So like if you're in a hunting situation, you pull out an arrow, I can feel with my fingers this side has a tab, so I would click it onto my string that way. If you didn't know that, make sure you go check your nocks. Most nocks have that. And rotate it, clip it on the string and rotate it so that it's in the position. You can either face them all toward the bow or all away from the bow, but I've always faced them away from the bow, as it used to be the odd color would face away from the bow, so that was the whole point. So there you have it, folks. That's how you fletch an arrow. I'll also say that to glue in the inserts, most glues, at least right now, can take up to 24 hours to set. So I already glued the inserts in these a couple days ago. So come tomorrow, these are going to be ready. And I've already fletched up a whole bunch right here. So I'm just about done. Thanks so much for tuning in. Till next time, take care. God bless.